All right, y'all. So I wanted to just kind of talk about something. I think that, so this is coming from experience, right? Like something that just happened at home. I think that we really need to be talking to our kids, and I'm going to say particularly our sons, about the divisions of labor. And, you know, obviously we want to model for them what, you know, equitable divisions of labor look like. But I think we also need to be talking about it and like interjecting in moments. So let me just give you the example. So I was gonna be making breakfast for my kids, and my son really likes chorizo, you know, with egg. And so usually I'll just have him crack the eggs, you know, while I'm making the chorizo, so I can throw the eggs in there. And so I was like, hey, come crack. They're on spring break, by the way. Okay, so it's not like we're rushing for school or anything. And I'm like, hey, can you go and crack the eggs? And he's sitting on the couch watching TV, and he tells me, I just want to relax. And it really triggered me. It really triggered me because I was just having a conversation with my husband about, like, I really need a vacation. And he's like, aren't you on spring break? And I'm like, yes, but it doesn't mean that I just get to do nothing, right? Like, I still have to, like, you know, like, I want, like, a spring break, a break where I don't have to, like, do anything, and I don't have to, like, worry about other people, and I don't have to be making meals, and I don't, you know, like, a spring break with kids is, you know, not quite the same as a spring break without kids. Like, let's just say that. So I was already kind of having this like conversation of like, I'm really needing like a break. Like, I want to kind of go away for a couple of days by myself. And so when he's like, I want to relax, it was so triggering to me because I was like, yeah, I want to fucking relax too. And I actually said it that way. I was like, I want to fucking relax too. And I was like so upset because it was like how like, I'm just going to say this, like how entitled, right, it can be for him to be like, I want to relax when here I am like making you breakfast, right? And I think like, yeah, it was just really triggering. And I think my response to that was probably not the best. I did yell. I did get upset. I was like, get your fucking ass in here and crack the... And I was like, that's bullshit. Like, I actually said that to him. And on one hand, I kind of feel bad. But I was able to like, okay, let me, you know. So there I am like cooking the chorizo, and he's cracking the eggs, you know, reluctantly. And in my head, I'm really trying to be like, okay, this is a teachable moment. This has to be a teachable moment. And so once it was all done, I was like, hey, come, because he likes to put it in like a toast, right? So I said, hey, go get your bread so you can make your, you know, your chorizo sandwiches or whatever. That's what he likes to do. And I was like, look, we need to have a discussion. Like, you need to understand that we live in a world where women and mothers in particular are often expected to do things for boys and men, and without any kind of like gratitude and without any kind of like acknowledgement. And I don't think that that's fair, and like I don't want you to think that that's okay. I mean, I think I said something like that, and I said, you know, I understand that you want to relax, and I want to relax too. And I said, so in order for us to both relax, you need to help me. We need to help each other, so then we can get it all done quicker, and then we can both relax, right? And I said, but often, you know, when you say I want to relax, your relaxation then comes at the cost of my work, right? So then I have to do extra work in order for you to relax, and that's not fair. And he was like, okay, like, you know, kind of annoyed, but also he saw how upset I was, and he is very empathetic, and he reads me really well. And so like he understood what I don't know if he understood what I was saying, but he understood that what I was saying meant a lot. Like, I was really upset about this. And he was like, okay, you know, okay. And so like I just left it at that. Like, I didn't need to keep reiterating, although we will come back to it, right? Like he's saying it once isn't gonna have him learn the lesson, right? Like we will be repeating that. But I think that it reminds me that that's how easy it gets for boys and men, especially like we can have a certain dynamic at home, but they still go out into the world where so much of the messaging of society at large perpetuates this notion that, men are to be served, right? Women are to be the servers, right? Women are to be the ones catering to them, in all kinds of ways, right? Here we're talking about like cooking and domestic work, but emotional ways, financial ways, right? Like there's all kinds of ways in which our society perpetuates the notion that women are meant to cater to men. Women are meant to cater to men. And it's a reminder to me like how insidious it can be, right? Like, cause I could have been like, oh, you're right, you're on spring break, you relax, mijo, while I go, cook your breakfast. Like, I'm on spring break too, right? Like, and I'm not asking him to do something that he can't do, right? Like, he's 11 years old. He has done it many times. He does it almost, whenever I'm making chorizo for lunch, he cracks the eggs. Like, it is a very simple task that I'm asking him to do. It's, I'm not asking him to, I don't know, like, it's a very simple task. And so he is of an age where he can do that, and it's a responsibility. So aside from like, it is teaching him a sense of responsibility to himself, right? Like, I think that can, for all genders, right? We need to learn a sense of responsibility of, doing the things that we can do and teaching them skills and all of those things. But I think this sort of gender dynamic adds on a layer of that, right? Like, you can't expect that me, not just as your parent, but as your mom, as a woman, is expected to just do all these things for you so that you can relax. That's not okay with me, right? Like, that's not cool with me. And I think it's just a matter of like interjecting in those moments. And I think we need to name that dynamic. I think we need to name it as like, this is a moment of you expecting a woman to do this labor for you. And this is not like, it doesn't make him a bad kid. I'm not saying he's sexist, none of that, right? Like, but if we don't interject in those moments, we normalize the sexism. And then that's how men become sexist, right? So I think for me, again, as a feminist mom and all the things, it's like, oh man, it's relentless, right? Like, it's relentless, the normalization of this. And I think it's like what he said was a normal thing for a kid. I don't think he was being sexist. But I think that if we don't frame what's happening in that way, because we live in an inherently sexist world where men do get to do those things, it so easily can evolve into that. So, I mean, I hope I'm making sense. And I, again, this is, not to demonize anything. This is just to say, like, we have to really be clear about interjecting in those moments and calling it what it is, and just teaching our kids and our sons in particular that they need to be able to do things for themselves and not expect that women are going to do things so then that they can privilege right from that, because that's how I think, that's why it was so triggering for me, and I love my husband, and my husband is great, and but I still have to call him on shit like that, right? Like the divisions of labor, and so it's like, because remember, it's about expectation. So yes, my husband does a lot of things, but society doesn't expect him to do those things. So when he does those things, it's like, oh, wonderful, great, you're going out of your way, to, I don't know, do your wife's laundry. Not that he does my laundry, but like, does that make sense, right? Like, it's, whereas for me, society just expects me to do all of these things. And so, that's just like the normalized expectation. So when I don't do those things, it's like, oh, I'm a bad person, I'm a bad mother, I'm a bad wife, I'm a bad parent, like all of these things. And so for me, it's like, anyway, like I'm getting lost in my thoughts, but I feel like it's already triggering, like for me, as in a dynamic with a man where I have to be like, I understand that we're all, like, you're coming home from work tired. I come home from work tired too. And we all have to, and in order for us, and there's still domestic work that needs to happen. So in order for us, for both of us to be able to get the rest that we need, we have to help each other do the domestic work so then we can both get rest, right? And again, sometimes that's difficult because I've, as a woman, have been socialized to thinking like this is just what I should do, and he wasn't. So it feels a little maybe like extra work for him to do some of those domestic works because it's not expected of him, and he wasn't raised in a world where that was expected of him. And so I know it's a little extra, like it feels like it's extra work for him, but it really isn't. And so I think for me, like knowing that, like knowing having to kind of, that becomes a challenge in, you know, in our dynamic. I want my kids to know from the onset, like, this is not the expectation, right? Like, we should not expect women to be taking on that domestic and emotional labor, because we're all tired. We all want to relax. But, you know, and this is also collectivity, right? Like, if we want to help each other out, we want to all help each other get rest, then we're going to help each other do the work of the home so that we can all equally benefit from, you know, being able to like chill the fuck out, right? Anyway, this is just a sort of reminder to us moms, no, to us parents, because here I am perpetuating the same shit. Like, it's a mother's responsibility to interject in these sexist moments, right? Or these potentially sexist moments. So no, this is a call to all parents to say, let us remind our kids, and I would say particularly our sons, that they are not entitled to domestic and emotional labor of women. All right, thanks, bye.